Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another exciting day of motion graphics in the morning. Hello, hello. Good to see everybody hanging out on the Behance, on the YouTubes. It took me a little bit to get some settings sorted out, so let me know if anything sounds funny today. Hopefully this is a good time. Today, similar to last week, if you were hanging out last week, then you'll know what's up. We spent some time, an inordinate amount of time maybe, messing around with a single plugin. We spent a good 2 hours playing with CC Sphere, and this week, at least today anyway, we are going to mess around by popular demand with CC Mr. Mercury. So there's a lot of this sliding into my DMs on Twitter and Instagram. So that's what we're going to go with today. People seem to like it. And then maybe we can never touch Mr. Mercury again. I don't know. We're going to find out. We're going to find out if this is good and helpful for people. Who knows? Maybe this will change people's minds on using the CC Mr. Mercury. But that's what we're doing today. Hopefully everyone's having a good time. Good to see everyone hanging out in the chat. I'm watching this chat on the Behance. I'm checking out the chat on YouTube. We're in the two different places this morning, so hopefully that is good. Good to see everybody back. Scott, Umacorn, Kent. Oh man, all the regulars are back. Oh, and Derek. Hello, Derek from London. Jolly old London. Good to see you here from across the pond. This is great. PD from Spain, represent. And of course, Bake Like a Pro in the house. Fantastic. Oh, man. So this is going to be great. This is going to be good times. But let me know who you are. Let me know where you're from. Let me know what you're doing and what you want to do in Adobe After Effects, because that's what we're talking about today. I know we do dip into Cinema 4D sometimes, but today is not that day. Today we are concentrating on exploring what we can do with a little, an often untouched effect called CC Mr. Mercury. It has a funny name, and we are going to see what that's all about. If you have any questions during the stream, do let me know. Jump into the chat, and I'll try to help you out. And we can go into Tangent Town, but you never know. But we could be all over the place with this stuff. But yeah, that's what we're doing. Good to see people here. We got people from India. We got people from Colombia. Bear Studios is moving to South Korea. Congratulations, man! I heard that that's been in the works for a while for you. So glad that finally hooking that up. Yeah, let's get into it. Let's see what am I talking about? What are we doing? What is this stuff? Oh man, it's crazy. And we're gonna enjoy it. So dip over to my screen and get into it. Oh man. Okay, so what is the Mr. Mercury? What do we use it for? What do people use this blobulous, deforming, weird thing for? And how does it work? So, if you're not familiar, CC Mr. Mercury. There's Mr. Mercury, then there's Mr. Smoothie, and maybe we'll call Mr. Smoothie at some point. But today we're talking to Mr. Mercury. It's found in the simulation zone. Simulation is where some weird things are. So, card dance, ball action, bubbles, particle systems are in here. Rainfall, snowfall, scatter eyes. There's a lot of these Psycore effects hanging out in here, basically. And someone was asking, and if it was you asking for this stuff, do let me know in the chat, and hopefully we get your specific questions about the Mercury plugin. But as you can see, it can do some things. So here we have it blobulously revealing something. That's fun. That's a nice use of things. And Lauren in the chat. Yeah, I mean, we could probably stop gendering the Mercury. I don't know if it's named after somebody, or if the intent was for it to look like Mercury. I don't know. This might be a Mr. Pac-Man, Ms. Pac-Man situation. Of course, that might be some Mr. Mercury erasure. I don't know. It's up to Mr. Mercury how he chooses to identify, I guess. So we're gonna I don't know. I'm gonna live with everybody. It's a really weird name. It's very weird. First, it's weird to personify an effect, and then again, also weird that Mr. Mercury is somehow masculine. So it's a really strange. I don't know. It's one of the few effects that are like this. So, like I said, Mr. Mercury and Mr. Smoothie are two of them. But yeah. So, let's jump into it. Let's see what this thing do, and we'll get in there. So, so like I said, this is one example of kind of what it do, and you know, we'll. That's one way we usually see it expressed. Another way is something more like this. This is a much more common sort of form. This at least looks like Mercury, so we're holding up to what the thing's called. And, you know, this is maybe where it more accurately gets its name from. I don't know, this kind of globulous application of it. Lauren, yeah, probably the owners of Adobe. So what's interesting about these effects, just for a little history lesson, I guess. So anything that you see that has a CC at the start of it, right? Anything with a CC in the front of it is from the Psycore suite of effects, right? That once upon a time were like a third-party thing, I believe, that you had to get separately, and now they're just part of the ecosystem. They have been for so long that we don't really think about them. But a lot of these were developed by actually really small teams of people. So a lot of the individual things that we find in After Effects, you know, the After Effects team itself is quite small, the development team, and some of these effects are kind of the labor of a singular person sometimes. So there is often a weird amount of personality behind them. Anyway, that's sort of where that's at. This is a really weird holdover. I don't know. Maybe someday we'll get the name changed. I wonder when the CC is going to get dropped. Probably never, because that would be erasing the people who made that. But anyway, all we can do is try to do better with ourselves and each other in the future. So, so this thing, right? This at least looks like Mercury. This is behaving like Mercury. Why would we use this? When would we use this? What are we doing? And in the Behance chat, people have decided it's named after Freddie Mercury. I can get behind that. I'm into that. I don't think it has many of the same qualities as the iconic singer, but we'll see. All right, so let's start from scratch, and I'll try to talk you through this thing, and then we'll use it in some ways. And if you have any questions about this plugin in general, let me know. But let's start from basics. Now let's have things populate on this window. And we are going to work, let's start with a regular frame size, so this will make sense. So, so right now, there's nothing in the frame, right? So everything is transparent, or, you know, there's nothing here, right? So if I make a new solid, because effects have to live on solids, and let's make this a black solid. Okay, so this is totally black. And I'm going to just apply Mr. Mercury to that. Okay, now there's nothing. But if you scrub ahead, suddenly some blobby ink starts coming out. Okay, so this thing is kind of like a particle system. So that's the best way to kind of conceive of what is generating all these blobs, right? These blobs are coming out of a particle system, and they're just blah, 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 pushing their way out. And we know that because, actually, what else we can do? I want to go to the about here. Oh yeah, it describes it right here. Blobby particle effect. So great. Nailed it. So we have a radius, right? And this radius is sort of where these things are popping up. So, just like any particle producer, this is how large of a space these things are going to be popping up. So we could set this to be very wide. If we set this to be, say, 100, what does that mean? This is where this situation gets a little bit weird, right? Because it starts to get difficult for us to sort of understand what this is doing from a baseline. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set velocity down to 0, so we're not pushing things anywhere. I'm going to set the birth size to 0.1 and the death size to 0.1. So it's only making things that are going to live at 0.1 always. And so let's just play that through. Okay, now it looks like it's kind of raining. Okay, that's good. I'm going to set that gravity here. The gravity is going to go to 0 as well. So now the dots are just kind of showing up. Bleep, 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 and blinking. Okay, so now we can start to dial in and understand what this radius actually corresponds to. So does it mean, an actual pixel radius? Well, not really, right? Not especially, because 50 by 50, that's not a 50 by 50 circle, right? That's not 50 pixels. So this radius doesn't correspond directly to any form of pixels. So just keep that in mind with your radii. But if we drag these down to 0, that's when we get everything kind of happening at a singular point. Blah, 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 blah. All the blobs are popping at a single point. So one of the things that people like to do with this is to use it to create kind of brush strokey, inky trails behind things. Right? That's one of the main uses of this. So in order to do that, all you really need to do is bring the gravity down to 0, and you might want some velocity because you would probably want these things to be blobbing it up in some way. So let's set that to like 0.1 maybe. And then we just need to move the producer around. So we would need to keyframe this producer around places. Okay. So for example, we would call up that producer. We would hit a little keyframe for that. And then we just move ahead in time and then stretch it like so. So you can see that it's emanating some blobs, and then the producer is moving, and it's making this trail, and then it continues to blob up over there. So one of the challenges we first run into with Mercury here, with the CC Mercury, I guess let's just call it the Mercury plugin. There's not like 2 Mercury plugins in here. So one of the troubles is we don't have a lot of nuanced control over this producer, right? So we could, we can ease that. We can grab these. We can go to the keyframe interpolation. And let's try to change the spatial interpolation to Bezier. Well, where's my handles, right? There's no little handles for me to grab a hold of, right? Yeah, I've hidden it. Oh, now you can see my media encoder. Gross. Don't look at that. So what we would probably want to do is actually take this producer and, I mean, what's interesting is that, 960, 540, we could be going new null object. Let's call this the emitter. And we can just kind of link this producer to this emitter, right? So we could take this producer, link it to that emitter, and now wherever we move this, we're moving that. And because this has more regular position information, boop, weep, we can now do some arcing movements on it, right? We can grab our pen tool and we can start to have these arcing brush strokes if you want, right? So now it makes a little bit more sense how we can make that start to happen, so now we're able to kind of form and craft this a little bit better, okay? So I think that covers your radii. So your radius, like I said, is the point at which this is being emitted from, right? And you'll notice there's a bit of a lag, right? It's not actually coming out. We know the producer lives exactly there. There's nothing like there right now, right? There's nothing specifically there currently. Now, why is that? Why would that happen? Well, this is part of trying to understand what's happening. So imagine that a bunch of these little points are getting shot out in the world, and then they're starting to get grouped or clustered together. They're starting to get blobbed into these blobs. So if I just set this to be blobbing out, that looks different than, say, blobbing in, which also looks different than blobbing in and out, which then we have blob out sharp, and then we have constant blobs. So we have these kind of blobular influence that we can have over this, and we can set, you can see by altering that blobulous influence, what is happening. So the blob influence down, blob influence up. Right? Hopefully that makes sense. So let's try to do kind of a brush stroke right-on kind of thing. And we will try to do that. Let's see. We've got Mohammed. I'm not sure if that's a comment that's loading. I don't know what that means. But like I said, if you have questions, let me know. Good to see people from Ethiopia, Kazakhstan, Brooklyn, faraway lands of Brooklyn, Botswana. So good. So good. Oh, man. Okay, let's see what we can do. That's right, PD. This is the most times we've ever said blob in one sentence. Okay, so direction. If we want to use this as a brush, let's say, to try to brush on, I don't know, a word. Let me just make a word out here, and we'll try to trace around to make this shape, I suppose. And this will be kind of our stencil for the space. There we go. And really, what I need to do now is have this blob follow sort of a path that roughly does this. So I'm going to set a bunch of keyframes out in the world. We'll go from there. So let's see. Think about how this may be interacting with corners and edges, like here, and like here. And again, we want to be using our pen tool here to try to make this stuff conform. So whenever you're using your call this convert vertex tool, you can click on a point to make it hard or Bezier. You can click and drag to get hold of the handles. You can hold down things like Alt to get an individual handle. Yeah, so that's all your great controls of this. One of the frustrations is often that it goes like so. Okay. So blob, blob, blob. That seems like a B enough. Laura's asking, could you use motion path with this? So is that like you're talking about when you just kind of grab a hold of Oh, where's that thing in here? You talk about motion sketch. This bad boy over here. This wonderful thing that we can do. We can probably use some motion sketch. Okay. Let's see if that saves us some time. We're gonna go start. Whee. I hate that it makes the screen go black. That makes me so sad that it does that. But hey, let's see how we did. Let's see how well this performs. There we go. That seems to do it. Okay. So we know that this thing's doing the whole path like we wanted. So then I guess what we need to do is make sure that this is sort of tight enough and is putting in enough blobs and is making the stuff we want. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to bring the velocity down a little bit, or, you know what, actually the velocity is pretty good. Let's bring the birth rate up a bit. Let's use the resistance here to try to throttle this in so it doesn't drift as far. Resistance is basically like air resistance. Like we're pushing this stuff out, but then it's encountering like a fluid and it's like getting stuck because it can't get through that stuff. And then we need to increase the longevity so that this stuff stays on for a long period of time. Okay, good. Maybe let's make the birth size and the death size a little bit smaller. Actually, you know what? I do like these being sort of the same. Let's leave those the same. Let's bring the birth rate down, actually. I still want it to be kind of readable. Kind of. And now let's see how we do here. Pardon my cursive writing. So, I mean, the big question is, can we still read, that's the word blob, not really. So we're going to continue to increase our, how long does this take for us to do? 10 seconds. So things need to live for at least 10 seconds. That'll be 100% of the time, which is great. And then let's put their birth rate up to 2. Let's increase the density, or doubling the density. And let's see if this can help us out. Constant blob's going to do it. Okay. Let's try to increase that resistance a little bit more. Good. So we're starting to shape how this thing is looking. Admittedly, pretty gross, but, you know, we're working on it. We'll take our birth rate here, and we're going to keyframe that kind of over time so that it kind of starts... Maybe it starts at 0 and then comes on. Now the B is going to be completed here. So between here, and I mean we could mess with these keyframes and make them a lot nicer, but let's leave them how they are right now. It has kind of a fun hand-drawn effect to it. So the birth rate, I'm then going to continue to kind of bring down. The birth rate can now be controlled, and what's fun that happens kind of over time with this, as fewer blobs being born, then, you know, we're going to get less of a trail between here and there, right? So what if we just bring it down to 0? Oops, get me out of there. 0, so that the journey from here to there doesn't have any blobs. Then we can kick it back online, right? We can bring this back online here. Like this. Let's see, around there maybe? Glob, glob, glob. Ugh. I feel like I do need to massage these points, though, because they're so janky. Yeah, I was not even close on some of these. I said I wouldn't fix them up, but I lied. I will fix them up because I feel embarrassed for their existence. There we go. So now we're going to fade off. We're now going to go over to the top of the bee. Let's see. What is Daniel's asking? How did you change the colors without opening the color palette? Daniel, do let me know which colors you'd like to know about that I'm changing around here, and I'll try to advise as best I can. Okay, I'm kind of happy with how this is going. We've got the emitting happening as I would like. Oh, I guess my color picker is showing up on the other screen, so that might be the confusion. Umacorn is asking, can you use it as a painting effect to reveal something? So, absolutely. Anything that we see that has pixel information can be used to, reveal something else. So if we wanted this to reveal the word blob, we could just have this blob reference this layer above it and, be painted on in this way. That's definitely one way to do it. We're going to get into a different kind of use case in a moment, though, because what is actually happening here? So this is probably the part to talk about, like, why is this black? Like, why is the CC Mercury just putting out black blobs, right? It's on a black solid. Is that why? Yes, because CC Mercury doesn't have color information. So it's literally just applying this to that situation. So if we wanted, say, a different colored blobs, right? Let's say we wanted, like, I don't know, we could drop a fill on here, and we could fill this in with red, and then we have red blobs, I guess, or whatever color. Oh, hello. What's this then? What's happening? Why does it suddenly look more blobulous? Well, I'm glad you asked. Hold on, let me go back into that. Okay, I'm going to bring the color picker over here so we can all enjoy my color picker. So, when we're dealing with colors that are 100% white or 100% black, we can't appreciate the true wonder of Mr. Mercury, all right? Or let's just call it Mercury. Let's stick with just Mercury for now. Don't need to give, I don't know. Don't need to talk about software in such weird ways. I find personifying software to be creepy and weird and leads to an unhealthy relationship with programs. However, maybe it'd be nice to artificial intelligence. I don't know. I don't want to get killed by a robot, everybody. I don't want that. I don't want to be attacked by artificial intelligence. So I'm going to set this to be 50%, right? So we have 50% darkness we can enjoy this. And what we can enjoy is... I look grainy today, Tim. You look grainy today. Oh, I feel grainy today. Not going to lie. So I'll look into that. Tim Mobest jumping into the Behance chat. But yeah. Oh, there's no T in here. So, let's see. What can we do? Try to explain what's happening. So, within here, we've also got light and shading options. Now, this has a delightful kind of 90s feel to it, with these glorps. And so we have various lighting options, meaning that we can use this effects light that this thing is going on. So, I don't know. You can alter the light's intensity if you wish. So if the intensity is down at 0, we get that. You can jack the intensity all the way up, you get something like that. And built-in lights are not super great. We talked about this with the CC sphere, right? And, you know, the light height, what does that mean? Well, if the light height is at minus 100, it's like it's behind the thing. If the light height is at 0, it's like it's all the way at one side. And if we move this up, oh, my dog is barking at something. I wonder what he wants. There's probably a dog outside that he's very angry at. I wonder if you can hear that on the microphone. Just a moment. I'm going to go see what he wants. Hey, buddy. Buddy. You don't gotta yell at people. You just hang out in the office. Weirdo. Oh. Take my word for it. There's a tiny dog in the office with me. Anyway. Sherbert's going nuts. He has a bit of a spine injury, so he is very sensitive today. Let's see. So what was I talking about? I was talking about the what do we got here? We got the light's height, right? Which doesn't necessarily equate to height, right? Because you can see that the shadows really change in a weird way as we push this thing around. Then we've got the light's direction, right? So let me just put this at 0, and then we can kind of enjoy sweeping the light's direction around a little bit. And so what's interesting is that these blobs are actually rendering three-dimensional blobness about this, right? Like they have depth to them, which can be good or bad. And then we've got all of our shading objects, options, ambient, diffuse, specular, etc. All those great things. At Bake Like a Pro, I will not be showing Sherbert. I have to pick him up. That would hurt his compressed spine. My dog would not like that. It would hurt him to do so. So there's a little bit more to the story, though, that it's not just creating blobs. Okay, we're using a fill here, but I'm going to turn that off, and I'm going to put a fractal noise on here instead. And now a little bit more of why this has this name starts to come to the foreground, right? Because it kind of looks like Mercury. This kind of looks like how Mercury behaves. When you put two drops next to each other, they kind of form into one drop, right? That's what they do. And when you put the fractal noise on here, which looks like this, CC Mercury turns it into something like this, right? Something way more kind of interesting and strange going on back there. That it's deforming what is under it, right? It's deforming the pixels of the layer under it in really interesting ways as it takes your two-dimensional layer and blobs it out with some depth. So the idea is that like we're just taking like a dropper and we're going bloop, blop, 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 dropping this liquid on, and then it deforms and bubbles up like so. So that's how we end up with this kind of a look, which I think is pretty great. And that it tends to, where you leave more of it, right, it starts to deposit more and more of it, you know, as it, see, it's depositing more, spreading out over time. And then we end up with this kind of a situation. So hopefully this kind of illustrates more about what this thing is actually doing. And the options that it's going to provide to us kind of moving forward. So when you want to deform things, we would say in kind of like a liquid way, right? So I don't know if any of you were hanging out for the stream where we were putting some underwater stuff. We went ahead and we used. So here, let me go underwater. Let's say, for example, we wanted to show like the bottom of a pool or something, right? Make a color for the bottom of the pool. Somewhere down here. I don't know. Something like this. And then some grout lines. Oh, look at that. It's another CC grid situation. Just regular grid, please. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Right, so let's say we have this kind of like tile, right? This is like a tile looking situation. And so oh, I'm gonna end up hurting my throat today. So this is what we want to apply the Mercury to, okay? So you might, if we wanted this to appear like it's underwater or there's something deforming or rippling, we might put an adjustment layer, and then we might drop a turbulent displace on here, right? And then, you know, we just cycle the evolution of the turbulent displace, blah, 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 right? That might get us where we want to go, right? So that can get you where you want to go. However, what is Mercury doing? Well, it's doing something a little bit similar to that, right? But you notice that it kind of blows everything out because of its various lighting problems that it's having. So let me just try to fix that up. Light intensity, we're going to bring that down. Like so. Blah, blah, blah. And, you know, you would have to kind of shut off a bunch of this stuff, like we don't need gravity, and longevity will have to last maybe a bit longer, but maybe not. Does it really need velocity? I don't know about that. Check this out. Let's go. Right, now we've created this kind of water droplet, right? Quite a bit stranger in sort of where things are going. Let's see. Set the birth rate down to 2, maybe. So what I want to do is kind of illustrate. Yeah, maybe this will explain what's going on. Spread this out like that. So hopefully this kind of shows, you know, how you might reveal something, and it has that kind of warpiness to it, right? That kind of liquid droplet feel that everything under the Mercury is being deformed along the edges here, you know, as this thing kind of bubbles up. But once it's all formed, kind of formed that level, once it's all filled up the screen, well, there's no difference between having it or not having it, right? There's that lighting change, but other than that, that's it. So hopefully that kind of makes a little bit of sense. I don't know. One of the reasons why I'm kind of hesitant to talk ad nauseum about the CC Mercury is because it's a really kind of odd plugin that doesn't have a huge number of uses. And I hope the person who actually requested me to do this is hanging out today. Otherwise, maybe not. Oh, man. Okay, so otherwise they might feel like I didn't respond to their query. I would like, I think we talked a little, yeah, we've got this kind of drawing this blobulous form. That's great. How about we do something else with it? Okay. Sometimes people like to use this as kind of a smear. Like if this was following something, and then this was kind of like the motion trail behind it. And we can make motion trails easily enough using sort of the echo, or we could just use some motion blur. That's fine. But sometimes we want to have a little bit more of a stylized blur, or kind of a brushy effect, or, you know, maybe someone is slamming a basketball and we want to follow the arc of the basketball with some glorp, and then explodes, right? So hopefully that, you know, makes sense, and such. And Peter is saying it seems to coalesce around the brighter parts of the image and spread out. It doesn't really care too much about what image is under it, right? It's really only considering as a particle system where it's going. But anyway, let's make some motion trails with this. Let's do that. We kind of just did it with this blob situation, right? But I am going to try to show you some other interesting things, hopefully. Okay. Oh, still pretty tired today, not gonna lie. Let's say, for example, we have what kind of an object? I don't think it really matters too much. Some kind of an object here that is going to move around the scene, right? And this could be, I don't know, could be a hand, could be an icon, could be a logo, could stand in for all kinds of things, right? All the things. And this is just going to kind of move around and then come to rest. And we want to use this to bring a bit more life to it. So just like we did before, we're going to have our position on this thing. What's the way I want to bring this thing in? Let's start from up here, I think. Shrink it down. Like that? Sure. Whoop. I really enjoy, or prefer maybe, manipulating handles. Now I want kind of a whoosh. I want like a hard whoosh because I want to try to do some. I want to like try to cast off the globs as it's coming around the corner, right? I want to be like it's going to whip some globs around off of this. Hopefully we can do that. I don't know. All we can do is try. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. I'm going to turn these into what we call Rove Keyframes, so they rove across time. I don't know the graph editor here. See if I actually enjoy that. Not especially. It used up a lot of its energy and then needs to get more energy, maybe? Yeah, thinking about it. Yeah, I'm probably happy with that for now. Yeah, we'll deal with that, more of that later. Now, if I wanted to take this, and maybe I was like, oh, I know, I'll make a new null, and I want to kind of control this a little bit better. And so I'm going to parent the shape layer to this null object. And maybe this is going to like rotate and scale. Like if this is a logo, for example, maybe we actually need to scale this up a little bit and then rotate it just to give it a little bit more juice as it's coming in. That's probably scaled too much. And it's certainly rotated too much. You know, just in case we needed some refinement on this situation as it's coming in. I do a lot of kind of compound motion of this type so that I can have a lot of drivers, and a lot of kind of overlapping action happening, for example. So if this was indeed a logo of some kind, you know, we could have all kinds of interesting and overlapping motion happening. There we go. So we've got this thing, it's moving around, and now we want some kind of a tail behind it. Ooh. And, of course, we can use our Mercury plugin to do that. New solid, dubiously named Mercury plugin. So we can try to style this thing up. So let's see, Mercury tail, yes, make comp size, great, okay. Drop this down, and as we've said, you know, when we have our globs, we want to put some kind of texture on the glob. So we're going to use the fractal noise that makes a fun texture on the glob. Okay, cool. We'll probably end up styling this up in some meaningful way, like, I don't know, we can use like a tint to change its color to something interesting, you know. I don't know, interesting is the right word, but maybe tint is not what I want to do. What if I did tritone? And then posterize this first. You know what? Let's deal with that later. Let's focus on getting in the shape we want, and then we'll get into it. So, from here, I apologize. I was really taking myself to a psychedelic place before, and that's not what we need to do. All right. Let's have some extreme orangeness here, and let's get it going. And Peter Sanson, it is always good to understand what drives things. I'd like to know more about what drives people. That's what I'd like to know in my life. Okay, so we have this position here. Well, let's just make the CC Mercury follow that. So we'll set an expression on this, and then we'll stick it on that. And it doesn't line up. Now, why doesn't it line up? Well, that is because the position of our, I don't know, hero element, of this hero element, is relative to the null now. So it's not going to work super well. So what we need to do is to mess with this a little bit. So you know, it'd be great if I could actually just spell well. Okay. Let's see. Now comes the part where I try to remember really hard how I want that to work. And I got it. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're using this toComp function to transform this hero element's position to comp coordinates, right? Now, really what we want to do is transform them to this layer's coordinates, but thankfully they line up because this layer is the same size as the comp, so we're in good shape. And that should be helpful because now this thing is at least following the path we set out. So let's try to make this Mercury trail work out for us. So we're going to set the gravity to 0. I'm going to start by bringing the velocity to 0 so it's not spraying everywhere. I am going to bring the birth rate up like this. And something that might actually help us out here, perhaps later, but perhaps now, whoops, not like that. What does it not like here? Oh, I'm putting this in the wrong place. This is where things get a little bit weird with the toComp. Because. So, that this thing is really leading, right? It's really leading. And we need to delay a little bit. But, I mean, we'll get there in a minute. Let's just start by trying to at least make the tail do what we want. Bring down the longevity, maybe? Like this. Hey, it's catching up already. There we go. So one of the challenges that we run into, especially with this kind of thing, is when things are moving too fast, right? And that's one of the trubs, that this is like a frame ahead of where we would necessarily want to be. Now, we can try to get a little bit closer with this. That's not really going to do it, right? Because the things are not kind of lined up super well. We actually need to sort of dial back in time a little bit. Now, there's a few ways we could do that. Like I was saying, where... because there is one of these values. toComp always always gets me a lot. Maybe I'll stick it in here. Nope, it's not going to like that. Where is it? Because this is the value in here that we're pulling. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, it's not going to like that either. I guess I could always just bounce it to an intermediary, but I don't necessarily want to do that. Anyway, we got a question in the Behance chat. Now is a good time to take a break for that. So Kent is asking, do I have X particles? I do not. It is X particles is an amazing suite of things, but it's yeah, not something that's come up for me a lot. Nothing that soft body dynamics has not been able to solve. So you'll notice that now the Mercury is taking on different different looks, right? Like at this point, it kind of looks like fire a little bit. What? Weird. And we can start to play around with some of its motions. Let's see if we can give it a little velocity here. Let's give it a little juice. See how that goes. Because what we can always do, right? We've got this thing, and we're just going to offset it a little bit. I'm going to make a duplicate and just shift it like so. So now we've got this thing is now more in the corona of where we want to be. Probably shouldn't say that word, but right. So just by offsetting it by one frame, we end up with something that's a little bit more in keeping with where we want to be at. So I've really just made a duplicate, shifted it in time. Problem. And Peter, you're right. The horror of multiple coordinate systems. Ugh. Things that are relative to other things. It's a wild scene. It's a wild scene, folks. Ooh-wee. Also, we're about halfway through here. So I'll just say that if you have any questions about what we're doing, do let me know in the chat. I'll try to help you out. This is streaming on behance.net, but also on YouTube. So trying to keep my eyes on both the chats while we're working. Hopefully we arrive at something that looks nice and Instagrammable at the end of this thing. But hey, you never know. You never know. Yeah, we are definitely making a 90s soda commercial, which, you know, I'm into that. Catch the wave. Whoa. Oh boy, and Albors is asking to explain the 2-comp expression. Okay, I'll try. I'll try as best I can. So the trouble we're running into is that when we simply parent one thing to another, right? If I'm going to just save this. If I were to simply try to make this producer linked to this position, that's not going to give us the satisfying results because the position of the hero element is relative to this null. So at this moment, its position is actually 0, 0 as relative to its parent, null 3. That means when I try to pull that position value, all I'm pulling is the value 0, 0. See? 0, 0 here, 0, 0 there. So I don't need the relative position, I need the absolute position. Where does this live relative to the comp, not relative to its parent or its grandparent or whatever? You know, where is it really, right? And that's what the 2comp does. So I'm saying, hey, have a look at this comp.layer called, and then the layer called hero element dot 2comp. So more specifically, look at this comp, more specifically, look at this layer, more specifically, look at its 2comp of 0, 0. And this is sort of the space on this that I'm interested in looking at, it's coordinate 0, 0. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. Maybe this is more like a Fanta commercial. So hopefully that makes sense, at least in this context. Oh, boy. Is Fanta available in all countries? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it isn't. Try not to assume. So let's see. One thing that's going to be a little bit weird. Sometimes when I just scale this up, yeah, it gets a little weird. Okay, maybe I scale this up as this thing scales. I don't know. We may have to set a few weird keyframes, but we'll see. Oh, maybe it's no. Maybe I'm trying to do too many. I'm trying to do too many things with the same property. Okay, let's go with birth rate. Drop birth rate down to 0. Okay, good. But over this period, what if we take the velocity and we make that just way too big? There we go. That's what I wanted. Splash! Oh man, we're really splashing it out. Scott's asking, what if I put in a different number in the 2 comp? Oh boy, we left Tangent Town, but we're going back in, folks. Going back in here. What happens when you type that in? Well, now it's looking at the position at 50, 50 is where is 50, 50 on this, right? You could also do we could also look at its anchor point, so we could do that. But yeah, we're looking at the space 0, 0 in layer terms. Where is that in comp terms? So why are we getting this kind of twirl out here? Why is that happening? We can't use the Fanta logo. That'd be a crime. Maybe I'll just find an orange and we'll use that. I don't like that it's curling that way, right? Because it should be curling the other way. Twirl, I think that's this, right? Is that that? Ooh, what? What? Oh, I don't like that. Why? These older particle systems will sometimes behave in ways that you do not like. Okay, let's try some other things. Let's try twirly. How do we think about twirly? How do we think about just explosive? I think explosive is actually my favorite of them. Fanta. Okay, so I'm happy with this. One thing I'm not super happy with. So there's no kind of curve between here and there, right? Which I don't really care for. Let's see what if I bring down the longevity a little bit? Is that going to make me happier? If these things don't live as long? Not really. Because it doesn't describe the curve enough. We give it some resistance. We can also take resistance away if we really want this to behave strangely. Let's try this. So one of the things that I'm disliking with what I don't like with what I'm seeing here is that I like the tail of it. I don't necessarily enjoy most everything else about it. All right, let's see. Let's just go back in time a little bit. Okay. Fractal Explosion. How do I feel about that? I think that one might actually be the winner. Okay, let's go with this. Okay, wash us through. See how we like that. All right. Let's add some more elements in here because we've only got another hour to hang out. Let's see. Code 00 says Fanta was banned during the war. No, Fanta was made during the World War because cola was banned in certain countries. Oh, weird. I can neither confirm nor deny that. And what is this? Daniel's asking, what would it look like if we put in a gradient ramp? So right now we're using a fill. We'd use a fractal noise. How would a ramp look? Gradient ramp. It's the gradient ramp. It's the greatest gradient ramp. It looks like this. It looks like a gradient ramp, you know, because that's what's behind it at the moment. You know, we do a radial. How about a radial ramp? What do you think about that? It's a radial ramp. Which is okay. I mean, for me, I think it's going to be the fill plus the fractal noise. I think I need a little bit of fractal in my fill. But we're going to see here. Gross. Are there any Deep Space Nine fans around? Anybody here watch Star Trek? Any of them will do. That kind of bad, by today's standards, look when the shape changer Constable Odo turns into things. It's like that weird gloopy glorpy thing that happens, which at the time was a very cutting edge effect, but it really does not hold up. If you've seen any of the project to try to convert that show into HD, oy boy, some things just do not hold up over time. Kind of like the name Mr. Mercury has not held up well over time as we learn new things. Well, maybe not new things. I think people should have already known not to be jerks to each other. I don't know. One thing that I find kind of weird about CC Mercury, right, is the order of things. Right? Like, why is this above this? Shouldn't it be the other way around? Shouldn't new particles be above old particles? Wouldn't that make sense? To have new particles be above old particles? You know, wouldn't that bring us joy? So, all right, let's do that. Okay, now I want to make this even more radical. So I'm going to try to make that stronger here. Bah! One of the troubles with dual monitors is sometimes you don't know where things are going to appear. I have become Fanta, destroyer of worlds. Okay, and I think that this then simply needs to get a little bit larger. Okay, that's doing it. Okay, good. Good, good. I can live with this. I can live with this. I need a background of some kind. Fanta. My mind is hooked on Fanta now. Yeah, Scott, that's always the challenge with digital effects versus practical effects. Well, I don't think I'd have to look it up. I don't know if I think originally the Odo Gloop Glorp. So Scottman in the is in the Behance chat. Now we're going to go on a big screed about about how effects were done back in the day. So Deep Space Nine was one of the first shows kind of to blend practical and digital in their pipeline. But you can tell that there's a season in which they stop using model ships and they start using digital ships. You can see the change. You know, it's night and day between them. And it's kind of this switch from practical to digital. And that morphing effect, I think, is one of those things where it's like, well, we tried to do it practically, and now we're going to really do it, or, you know, we're going to do it digitally from here on moving forward. I just think about oh my God, what a challenge that must have been to try to integrate, like, on the on video footage. Like, I've not worked on VHS footage in a long time. I remember when things were like interlaced and stuff, and just the truly unpleasant workflow of that. I'm glad that I'm alive at the time I am, so that only took up a small part of my career. So, because now that we don't interlace footage anymore, like, how fun is this? Okay, so backgrounds is what I wanted to think about. This feels like a halftone dots kind of deal, doesn't it? Isn't that? Maybe it is. I don't know. What would I like for this? Thinking about what a background would look like. I kind of want to use shape layers, but maybe that's not. I don't know. Let me see. Pop, 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 pop. I've been playing a lot of the hit computer game Fall Guys recently, and they have a lot of really cool patterns and stuff in there. Okay, so we've done that. No, I want to go the other way first. I would like to go the other way. It's 80% going to be easy to get down with. Possibly. So I'm going to have these dots, and then... No, I think I need to give them a little bit more breath. I think 80% is good. It's the position I'm a little bit worried about. Okay. Clunk, clunk, clunk. Great. Okay, this seems accurate. Good. Is that enjoyable? What if it happened all the time? Would that be enjoyable? I don't think it would. I remember there was kind of a dizzying, hypnotic quality to Fanta commercials. They're too close. I don't think it's maybe it's intersection. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Do do dee 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 dee. What if they undulated like bubbles? I don't know about that. I think what I want is something regular. I want these to be so that as this is organic, I would like this back here to be regular. You know, hopefully that makes sense. I mean, this is where you're going to find out my specific design sensibilities that skew towards the hideous. Almost like I'm making this at people. You know, why does Evan want to hurt people with his design choices? I don't understand. I wish he would stop. Maybe this is more like an Orangina situation. Okay, I think we want vibrancy. I think we want... Yeah. 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 Okay, now we want differentiation. Some regular... I don't know why I did that. Step into the Fanta zone. So I'm really going Super Saiyan on this. Trying to think, last week we were doing CC Sphere stuff. Really hesitant to dip back into CC Sphere Town. Because then we're really doubling up on our nostalgia powers. I don't know. I feel like that would make me upset to go back there. Oh, now I will say this. I mean, Fanta might be a bizarre invention. However, the podcast Fantai, that's something you should check out. That's a quality podcast. Okay. Now I'm just going to check up on some framing stuff, and then we will see about glorping this thing away. Okay. Okay, that's good. That's fine. And now the Fanta people will not be angry with me. But something I would like to do. Where are we at here? This is motion trail. Okay, I'm going to take all this. I'm going to take all this stuff. Recompose this into this. Look, it's not a use of it's not a tutorial about CC Mercury until we put a Mercury on top of a Mercury. Oh, yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Because what I'm interested in doing... Okay, we're going to do this. Okay. So we're going to have one of these that does not have the Mercury, but one of them that does. So you see what's happening? We put the two of them on top of each other, right? And then it's like one of them is kind of sweating a little bit. We're getting sweaty comp, which is great. Oh no! Apparently my network connection is getting bad today. I wonder what that's all about. What's going on with that? Who even knows? Apparently video quality poor. I don't know. We're pushing at a lot of kilobytes per second, so I don't really know what that's all about. Anyway, do let me know if something weird happens on either of the streams. I don't know. What I can tell, network health looks fine on both. Anyway, let's see. How do we turn on the sweatiness? Well, we can turn it on by keyframing the birth rate, right? So let's see. Hold on, let me just make that go away. That fan tie comes on, splash. It's growing. So 3 seconds, maybe the birth rate can start at 0. That's when everything is totally covered. And then, what's the longevity of this thing? And it would take 2 seconds to die. Yeah, not a bad way out, huh? What if we just go with the blob depth size? Now, one thing that I'm finding... Yeah, let's go blob in, blob out. Let's use... is that the lighting color I'm Pinterested in? Yeah, Java, it does kind of feel oily at the end. I've not had Fanta in a very long time. Maybe it is oily. I don't know. I'm not sure. Oh, I'm gonna give it gravity back. Hold on. Hold on to your butts. Oh, we get clipped up here. I don't like that. I don't like that. No clippings allowed. Does that feel like it's flowing off? I just wish it wasn't so sudden, and I think that's down to the longevity situation, but there's also no curve to it. You know, like... Oh, maybe this should happen as this is like... just like splashing the camera. Does that make any sense? Does that make any sense in this scene? Nothing makes sense in this scene. This drink is fizzy and oily. Oh boy, nothing more appealing than that. Let's see what's going on in the chat today, because we are coming into the end of things eventually, but Orion Tech is asking, what Mac do I use? I have one of those trash can Macs. Very delightful machines. And yeah. Yeah. Scott McMahon, why isn't fizzy and oily their marketing tagline? I don't know. I do like the much more vibrant colors, though. Like, I'm not gonna say I don't enjoy those more vibrant colors. Of course, then the final colors aren't gonna look as interesting, right? Like, I want to get right into the heart of the 90s. That's what I'm interested in doing. Or now it's more like lime Fanta. I don't know. Yeah, this has a certain lack of appeal to it. Okay, I feel like I require... It's the soda with viscosity. Maybe we'll just... It's been a long time since I've had the urge to put a vignette on something. So many ways to make a vignette. It's a piece of cake to bake a pretty cake. So, that's right, Scott. Soda that leaves a mark. I think that was Jolt Cola, actually. The many defunct, now defunct. I should change the black to blue, says Tune in the chat. Let's check it out. Let's see, what is causing the blue? We could try to turn it into a blue, but Is that Fanta's color? I don't know anything about Fanta. as we've discovered throughout the course of today, that I do not know much about Fantas. Maybe we just make it a little bit blue, bluish, bluer, bluey. Has a weird feel to it. Stands out a little bit. I don't know. Maybe blue is a way to go. I don't know. Hey, let's do this though. Let's do. Shrink this down off the jump. And make this a little blurry. Yeah. Oh boy. Hey, do you think CC Mercury is going to like this next thing I do to it? We're going to find out. How does this thing play when you give it let it have some motion blur? Because this bad boy's got some motion blur. What is my... Huh? Okay. I don't use motion blur often, so... At least not as much these days. It's kind of out of vogue, you know. Vogue, Vogue. Come on and Vogue. Okay. I mean, the real test is how does it look when we bring it back over here. And we need to, since we are dipping to black in the end, we need to, I want to make this a loop, so we're just gonna start from black here. Ugh, no. Ugh. Ugh, I don't like either of those. I don't like any of this. We could blob this on. I don't know. Let's just watch it back and see if we like it, and we'll take it from there. You know, we have to evaluate kind of one moment to the next. Oh. Okay. Yeah, so this has been our weird Fanti situation. Oh, Aaron, glad you enjoy the blue here. Color is tricky. Color is tricky. Oh, man. Peter Sanson hanging out with us at 1:15 on Sunday morning. Oh, man, that's wild. Yeah. Too many time zones, folks. Too many time zones. It's kind of like a lava lamp. Very lava lamp adjacent. Ooh, now I want to make a lava lamp. Okay, one thing that I think I need to touch up is that as this starts to like fall down, what I want to have happen is for this logo to fall. So Yeah, there we go. That's what's doing it. That feels more like we are falling. Hey, don't go over there. Damn you. Ooh, you got me again. Please remain inside the vehicle. So if we made the background darker, yeah, that was something I was messing with, right? To try to get this to stand off of that. But I mean, darker. Just different. It's got to be different, right? So like, this is if it's like lighter. It's more orange. I mean, we have this, you know, we have some vignetting back there, which actually makes this look grosser. Oh, what if it's... No, I don't like where that went. That wasn't nice. So one of the challenges here, right? If you check out... Yeah, this is all very bright. I mean, at its darkest, right? Let's just say it was this. Right? Awesome. That pops. So maybe we work up from that and we say... This has a more ominous tone. I don't know how the Fanta people would feel about this. Negatively, I assume. Because now this gets lost, right? Now we don't have that as much. I don't know. Let's watch the final again and see. Fanta Dark. Oh, let's see what our super producer Java's got for us. More simple, smaller pattern background, maybe some complementary color, reddish orange, darkish blue. Fluid be more bright. Yeah, we could probably do all these things. Anyway, we were supposed to be talking about CC Mercury today, and I got 8 minutes, so we should probably focus up. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, I think the background would need to change when this is coming in. I don't know. I don't know. Let's try that suggestion of do small dots. Do smaller dots. Do smaller dots. See if this brings us joy. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. We don't know. We can never know. I don't think it's blue. Anyway. Feels real weird out here. I guess it is the Orangina. Anyway. It is indeed Orangina. But why would a blue thing emit orange things? That's the quandary. Why blue thing make orange thing? That's, you know. Orange gotta be orange. Ugh. Ew. It looks more like carrots. I don't know, man. This is really turning into flaming hot Cheetos out here, guys. Oh boy. It's just flaming hot Cheetos all the way down, I'm afraid. Oh well. An actual nice font would help. Oh boy. Everyone's got font pinions. Oh. Well, let's see, this is where I'd ask, like, what is a nice font then for Deter? What's your favorite font? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. Oh man. Oh boy. There's nothing designers enjoy more than... Oh, you know what it is? It's papyrus. There you go. I got you covered. There you go. Oh, pranks, folks. Pranks. Oh, boy. Okay, so... So someone mentioned that they find Mr. Mercury, Mr. CC Mercury over here, eats up a lot of resources sometimes. And so we've already got several instances of it running. So let me see if I can alter the background. With, like, I don't know, I always prefer lighter colored backgrounds. So my thought is splash out like this. I don't know, but then we're going like darker, lighter, darker. Like, to me, this is way more interesting. Like, Oh no, I've hurt myself with papyrus. There you go. Internet's favorite active grotesque. How about some Gotham? Everyone loves Gotham. We could just put some of that out here. Oh, Trebuchet. People are loving the Trebuchet MS. Maybe. Do I even have Comic Sans? I must. I must have Comic. Of course I've got Comic Sans. Why not? A lot of people poo-poo Comic Sans, but it's survived. You got to say something about a font that survives despite itself, and gets so much use. Yeah, it may be the most powerful font we've ever known, simply by attrition. Also, people can read it really well. Yeah, Trebuchet actually kind of looks nice. As opposed to... I think what's great is like, well, Trebuchet, yeah. Helvetica Bold, no. Oh, some days, folks. Some days. Makes me laugh. Anyway, I used to go to restaurants with a design buddy of mine, and he's much more of a fine art related person. And whenever we would go to a restaurant, he would take out a Sharpie, and he would mark up the menu of the place that we were at. So if we were at like a, you know, like a family pho place, he'd take out a Sharpie and he would mark up with design notes all over their menu. He'd mark it up, and he would leave their card. He'd leave his card with it. Like, if you want a better menu, let me know. I was like, wow. Well, glad you brought your opinions to the family pho place. They're gonna love it. I'm sure they'll reach out. You know, ultimately, not super useful to them, I think. You know, I prefer this. I mean, we messed around a lot with that background, and then ultimately just threw it in the trash. So, you know, let's just go with this. Oh yeah, this feels better. You know, we got these sweat drops. Gotta get these sweat drops. Maybe I will make it... What is it, this one? What if I just bring it off the line? Bring it off the line. Just so we can kind of see the lighter droplets out here, maybe. Get some of those speculars, highlights, etc. Or maybe what we do... Oh, hey, yeah, this light out here. Yeah, there we go. Anyway. I guess we could mess with this, like, forever. Oh, yeah, because what if... No, we'll hang out for a little bit. Sell it to the Fanta company. Ugh, hard pass. I have no interest in doing things for Fanta. I've interest for doing things for the Fanti podcast that I enjoy. We could do something for them. Sunbeams. There we go. Now we can enjoy some bubbling. We need some color to get that bubble. Oops. All right, here we go. And now we're in a loop. Now we're caught in a loop. And we'll just touch this up to ride on that a little bit. Yeah. Stronger detail. Wiggles per second up to 8. So you get a little bit more wackadoo as it comes on. Good. Okay. I'm happy with that. Well, folks, we ran a little bit longer than usual, so we will we'll call it there. And hopefully that... I mean, the point of today was to talk about CC Mercury, so hopefully we did that pretty well, and we all learned things about the effect and ourselves and each other, and hopefully that was good. Anyway, thank you all for hanging out. Hopefully that was fun, and we will see you all tomorrow when we get into some other things, whatever that'll be. Anyway, thanks for hanging out, and bye for now. Take care of yourself and each other, and I'll see you around the internet. Bye for now.